Hello there! This red-headed, chubby boy is just a shy guy who is unfairly bullied and beaten. His friends and parents can't help him. So an unexpected meeting with an old man becomes a turning point in his life. Will Jimmy be able to take the chance and protect himself and his friends? 3 shaven-headed boys walk through the school looking for a victim to bully. Their peers avert their eyes and stay away from the group. The leader of the bullies, Miles, knocks the textbooks out of the hands of a red-headed fat boy. The boy, however, looks them straight in the eyes.
You looking at, fat boy?
Jimmy is encouraged by his friends, Andy and Bobby, but it does little good. The hero grimly wanders the streets, and as soon as he gets home, immediately eats a cookie to relieve stress. His mother asks the boy if he's doing well, and though his tone of voice betrays his feelings, he admits to nothing. Over a video call, his friends try to console Jimmy again. They highlight his good qualities that his bullies don't have, a sense of humor and intelligence. The guy, however, only focuses on how fat he is. They invite him to come over, but he refuses and stays home. It's easier for him to lock himself away and bury his head in the sand.
Maybe you should watch some old kung fu movies in case Miles decides to with you again.
In the evening, Jimmy meets his father at dinner. He works the night shifts and rarely sees his son, except at dinner. The father asks the boy about his romantic affairs, but the insecure teen thinks no one can like him. The father also tries to encourage his son, but to no avail. Jimmy only becomes more troubled by his failures and eats sweets again. The next day, the 3 friends meet on their way to school. While they're lightheartedly messing around, they're stopped by the already familiar bullies. The feminine Bobby runs right away, and Andy is pushed aside so the fat boy can be bullied face to face. They threaten him with violence and extort money. A hefty sum of $100. The threat's in for now, and Jimmy is left to figure out how he will repay his debt. In class, Miles is making fun of Bobby, hinting that he is different from the other guys. At recess, Jimmy comforts his friend and suggests that they go out for a meal together. After all, it's the best way to achieve happiness and solve one's problems. In the cafeteria, Andy and Bobby tell Jimmy that a certain girl has been checking him out. Adrian is smart and sweet, though she prefers a dark, gothic style of dress. Then Miles bothers the boys again, and this time, Jimmy no longer stays silent.
I'm not giving you anything.
What the f did you say?
But just as Miles is about to respond to such insolence, a black guy and his big older brother intervene for Jimmy. Once Miles meets someone larger than himself, he takes to his heels. But the joy of success did not last long. On the way home, Miles and his friend catch up with Jimmy in a car. The teenager tries to stand up for himself again, but now he is alone and not ready to fight at all. The poor guy falls from the first blow. Miles viciously beats his defenseless opponent, and an elderly black man next door sees this. He immediately intervenes and scares the bully away, despite his threats and insults. And after examining Jimmy's split eyebrow, invites him to his house to stop the bleeding. Jimmy downplays the magnitude of the problem and wants to hide at home again, but the old man manages to convince him. They enter a garage with pictures of a man in his youth, in the ring, wearing boxing gloves, hanging on the walls. This is Clarence Jackson, nicknamed Action, a former professional heavyweight boxer. He knows a thing or two about fighting and how to stand up for himself. Jimmy gets his hopes up and asks to be taught how to box, but Action is old, so he suggests another trainer. While he himself will take the boy under his wing and mentor him. With his parents' permission, of course. Action gives Jimmy a ride home to meet them, but they don't really trust the stranger yet and are more worried about their son's health. The very next day, however, Jimmy's family visits Clarence to get his assistance. They go to the gym, where Action's old friend, the charismatic Mexican Manny, trains boxers. When he sees who his old friend has brought him, he's not thrilled and doubts that it was a good idea to bring a guy like that into the gym.
You mean a white kid?
No. I mean a pleasantly plump, I'm gonna get my ass kicked white kid.
Eventually, Manny agrees that Jimmy really does need help and takes the job. Time for the first training session. Before the class begins, Action warns the kid, don't look for trouble. Use the skills you've learned only to protect yourself. Manny explains to the kid that even though the extra weight is certainly worth losing, it is not always a disadvantage in a fight. Some champions were heavier than others. George Foreman, for example, who has used his trait skillfully to land particularly powerful punches. Action takes Jimmy to the gym for every training and watches his workouts closely from the sidelines so that he can share his invaluable experience. Jimmy and his mentor wonder what to do about the bully Miles. Paying him is not an option, because this way, the extortion and bullying will continue on a regular basis. While the beginner boxer still has a little skill, Jimmy will have to think of something to postpone the fight. So Action suggests that he lead the bully by the nose and promise to give him 200 instead of 100, but only in a month. This way, the conflict will be inevitable and the risk increases, which doesn't make the boy very happy. In the morning, Jimmy's problems only multiply. Literally, his whole body hurts from working out. Action and then Andy both chuckle at the fat kid, who is not used to this kind of workout, limping his way to school.
Oh, dude, you gotta take it easy. I ain't a spring chicken anymore. How old are you, like 16 now?
The gossiper Bobby, in turn, can't wait for Jimmy to ask Adrian out. Here comes Miles, to whom our hero lies about finding a new job and promises him 200. They make a deal to get the bully off of his back for at least a couple of weeks. At practice, however, Manny is not happy with the boy. He's not giving his best. And there are lots of kids on the streets from much less fortunate families who could and would like to train in the gym instead. Action wants to motivate the teenager and asks, "What's the matter? Where's the fervor gone?" Jimmy again tries to avoid answering.
You were just going through the motions today. Remember, you asked me for this.
Eventually, the boy does share his doubts with his mentor. He doesn't see any progress and doesn't believe in himself, because after all his effort, Miles might still be stronger. Action doesn't scold the teenager. He clearly needs time and support. Jimmy has another word with his father before he leaves for his night job. Again, the two fat men sit at the dinner table. The dad also sees that his son is tired and depressed, and says that he shouldn't take up his elder's time if he's not sure he wants to keep working hard. The father regrets that he couldn't teach his son to stand up for himself, for he too was not taught that when he was young.
If you stick with this, you can teach your kids someday and they won't have to go through what you're going through now.
In the morning, Miles meets the friends at the school entrance again and reminds them of the deal. To intimidate them even more, he threatens Andy and Bobby and even punches the latter hard in the stomach. Bobby runs away and later, with tears in his eyes, tells his pal that the humiliation will never end, which is when Jimmy realizes he cannot let his friends down. This helps him make the choice. After school, he takes his bicycle and rides to the gym ahead of time, without waiting for his old mentor. Jimmy is determined, and in the heat of practice, accidentally punches Manny in the jaw. Whoa, first knockdown of his career. The old boxer laughs and appreciates the guy's enthusiasm. Jimmy meets other athletes and trains hard. The days in the gym fly by. 2 weeks pass, and Miles demands the promised money. Jimmy manages to keep his cool and gets himself another week. Andy sees that his friend's behavior has changed and wonders what's going on. Jimmy tells his surprised friend that he is boxing under the guidance of real pros, and if he achieves his goal, he would even risk trying his luck with a girl.
I'd love to hook up with Adrian.
You have to ask me out on a date first, Jimmy.
Again, a lucky slip that turns out to be appreciated. The girl offers to go together to a big party at her friend's house, and already our hero is about to go on his first date. The parents are shocked again. Their harmless and quiet son is growing up, fights, boxing, parties, girls, and then what? Together with her mother, Adrian arrives at Jimmy's house and meets his parents. Alcohol, substances, and other interesting propositions from the party's wild hostess prove to be a bit too inappropriate, and Jimmy invites Adrian out for some fresh air. Adrian notes that Jimmy is eating better and has lost weight.
I could stand to lose a few pounds myself.
No, I think you look great.
There is a spark between them, but the first kiss is interrupted by one of Miles' sidekicks, Eddie. Jimmy allows himself to get angry and boldly tells the bully to go screw himself. The rest of the evening goes great, and Jimmy, happy, returns home. Action also learns something new from Jimmy and tries using a cell phone. The boy calls and this time asks Action to give him and his girlfriend a ride to the gym. Adrian is pleasantly surprised to find out that the guy is boxing. She thought he was just losing weight on the treadmill. At the gym, Manny introduces Adrian to Rosie, a female boxer who fights on par with men, knocking out yet another guy in sparring. This impresses Adrian. Maybe she'll join Jimmy in his new hobby. The guy, meanwhile, comes to the gym even on his days off, and Manny scares him a bit by offering to spar with a powerful opponent. Action also peeks into the gym, but already in the elegant suit he wears to church.
You should have seen the look on Jimmy's face when he thought he was going to have to spar with Marvin.
The old boxers reminisce about their youth, watching Jimmy's progress. Manny invites another of his acquaintances to teach the boy mixed martial arts techniques, where elbows and knees are used in addition to fists. After all, Jimmy's future opponent is unlikely to act according to the ring rulebook, which means you have to be prepared for that as well. A new day arrives, and Miles is demanding money again. He will not wait another day. From the sidelines, an older tough guy, Vinny, is watching the teenagers' conflict. He supports Jimmy and will be ready to help if anything happens.
Kick his f***ing ass.
They have no idea that their conversation is overheard by Miles' friend Eddie, who immediately reports that the fat boy has lied and is not going to pay. Then, the bullies involve Billy, the crazy big guy they know, nicknamed Glass Jaw, to beat Jimmy up for them. The hero tells Adrian everything, and the girl senses something is wrong. She's worried that too many people know about the upcoming fight, and something could go wrong. Manny reassures her over the phone that everything will be alright, as Jimmy is no longer alone either, and his friends will come to his aid if anything happens. Fortunately, Vinny quickly learns of Miles' plan to fight dirty, and also involves his Italian mobster acquaintances, who catch Billy Glassjaw on his way to school and hold him captive in their car. Now, Miles has no choice but to fight himself. Well, it's time to teach the cocky fatty a lesson. Jimmy falls down from the first quick punch again, but his stamina training hasn't been in vain, and he gets up. Remembering his training, he forces his opponent to miss and counterattacks. And now Miles is lying on the grass. Unable to endure such humiliations, he orders his buddies to intervene and the three of them lunge at Jimmy. But then Andy and Bobby too can't stand by any longer.
Whoa!
It turns out Bobby has a great left hook. Jimmy, in turn, throws a couple more accurate punches and demands that Miles leave alone not only him and his friends, but anyone who can't stand up for themselves. The moment Jimmy has been waiting for has arrived, and all of his efforts have not been in vain. But that's not all. The video of the fight goes viral on social networks and even makes the news stories. Jimmy is not the only one in the world who has suffered from bullying, and his example can inspire a lot of people. His parents are, of course, worried, but proud of their son. As for Jimmy and his friends, they can finally walk around school with their heads up. As always, you can find the movie title in the description of the video. In the meantime, let us know in the comments, what helped you in the moments when you didn't believe in yourself at all? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video so that more awesome stories come out as often as possible.